Good afternoon to all of you. Well, as you are aware, we have just released our manifesto. Probably one of the earliest national political parties to have released this manifesto. Our appeal to the people of India, to the electorate of India, is that the secular democratic republic of India today is facing an existential threat. And the main task is to protect and safeguard the character of the Republic of India as ordained by our Constitution. And in that task, we call upon the electorate, number one, to defeat the BJP and its allies. Number two, to increase the strength of the CPIM and the left parties in the parliament. And number three, to ensure that an alternative secular government is formed at the center. So these are the slogans on the basis of which we are approaching the elections and the Indian electorate. And this is because we feel in the last 5 years, and particularly in the last 10 years, in this decade-long BJP government rule led by Mr. Narendra Modi, there has been a systematic effort to dismantle the foundational pillars of the Constitution of India. These four foundational pillars that are under assault are secular democracy, economic sovereignty, social justice, and federalism. Each one of these is being systematically assaulted and undermined. The need of the hour is to protect the Indian Constitution and to safeguard the character of our republic. The same period has also seen the complete misuse of the state apparatus, its levers of power, and the targeting of the opposition, and the building up of what we call the communal or corporate Hindutva nexus. The corporate Hindutva nexus is actually controlling the country, and through the process there is a mega loot of India's national assets, mega corruption, and the legalization of political corruption that has been made possible through the electoral bonds. That's only one example. You have the PMPs, you have the complete waiver of loans taken by corporate cronies of this government and the Prime Minister to the tune of something like 17.46 lakh crores of loans have been paid. All this is loot of public money and people's money. So in order to save this situation, save the country and the lives of the people, there have been systematic assaults on the rights of the working people. There has been complete erosion of the living standards of the people. The last 10 years have not seen an increase in the real wages in the country. There is an unprecedentedly high level of unemployment and price rise that continues to eat into the meager earnings of the people. The net result is that the purchasing power in the hands of the people has fallen to a record low, and the amassment of wealth of the rich has grown to a record level again. This widening of inequalities, this imposition of a misery on the lives of the people, this has to change. And if this has to change, the presence of the left, a stronger presence of the left, particularly the CPIM, is absolutely necessary. And in order to ensure that an alternative pro-people policy direction is adopted by this alternative secular government. Because what have we seen in the last 10 years, particularly in the last 5 years? Every section of our people has been on the streets in struggles. We've seen the historic Kisan agitation and the movement. which is the only thing that forced Narendra Modi to withdraw bills that they had passed in the parliament. All the agri laws had to be withdrawn, repealed. The big strikes of the working class and the action are actually protesting and opposing the manner in which the privatization, large-scale privatization was taking place. The women, the students, the youth, they are all on the streets demanding better livelihood and demanding their fundamental, constitutionally guaranteed rights. So in this situation, the presence of the left is very critical in the parliament. While the importance of the left and the CPIM lies in the fact that irrespective of the parliamentary strength, we set the agenda before the country. Whether it is the Kisan struggles, whether it is the working class struggles, whether the struggles of the youth, students, women, etc., or various other sections. But this has to translate into alternative policies. And that is only possible with the pressure that the left will exert in the parliament. So our appeal to increase the strength of the CPIM and the left in the parliament and to stop this loot of our national assets and to end the most corrupt government independent of India has ever known, and to ensure that the Constitution of India prevails and the central agencies and officers are not misused to target the opposition and its leaders and thereby undermine democracy in our country. So with these objectives in mind, this manifesto contains essential points and demands that we have made, which is there in the summary which we have circulated to you. And in section 2 of the Constitution, we will have detailed demands that we would want the country and the government, the forthcoming government to implement in the interest of the country and the people. So I do not propose to read out the main points of the manifesto that we have put before is that the CPIM will pursue the line of an uncompromising adherence to secularism, that is the separation of religion from politics, state and the government. And we'll insist on having a law against hate speech and crimes, and we are committed to scrapping the Citizenship Amendment Act, the CAA. Further, we stand for scrapping of all draconian laws like the UAPA and the PMLA and protect the autonomy of independent institutions and in defense of the democratic rights of the people. We are committed to protect India's economic sovereignty. The privatization of the public sector must be revisited and reversed. A tax on the super rich, along with a general wealth tax and an inheritance tax, must be legislated. Workers' rights reflected in the pro-worker laws must replace the 4 labor codes now. Food security depends on ensuring the security of the farmers, and the essential aspect of this is to give a legal guarantee for a minimum support price in accordance with the Swaminathan Commission's recommendations. We stand for the right to work as a fundamental right, as a constitutional right. The vacancies that are now existing in government services and public sector units must immediately be filled up. While Manrega must be strengthened and expanded, we will want a similar guarantee for urban youth, like you have for the rural youth under Manrega. There should be an urban guarantee of employment guarantee law act that must be legislated. And India's demographic dividend. Today we are one of the youngest countries in the world, and the degree of unemployment in our educated, graduate youth is nearly 42%. This is a whopping, the complete destruction of the demographic dividend of India. This youth, which should have been an asset in building a better India, is now being destroyed and rendered directionless, which has serious consequences for our society and the future. This has to change. The universal right to education and privatization of higher education will oppose that. And we would like at least 6% of our GDP to be earmarked for spending on education. And likewise, we would want the principle of federalism to be strengthened and the constitutional rights of the states, which have been thoroughly assaulted by the Modi government, that will have to be reversed, and at least 50% of all tax revenue collected by the sector must be devolved to the states. Right now, the Finance Commission is talked of 42%, but in reality, it is not beyond 32%. It should be at least 50%. That is our demand. The reservations in the private sector must be legalized and enacted, and an OBC census must be conducted with the general census. That is long overdue. 2021 census is not yet begun. Along with that, an OBC census has to be undertaken, and the immediate implementation of the reservation for women, which the drama was enacted, saying that we are doing it, but now it will only be after the next census and after delimitation, and that has been delayed. That has to be implemented immediately, and the delivery of justice for has to be speeded up, particularly for crimes against women and children. The use of money power in the elections. We stand for that very wide electoral reforms, and the important element is that to ensure a free and fair election and a level playing field, the role of money power has to be curbed. And we have now seen, with all the information coming out and shocking exposures coming out through the electoral bond scheme and the manner in which central agencies were misused in order to collect money, extortion, the manner in which sweetheart deals were handed over and public assets handed over to private players in return for such donations to electoral bonds, and overall money laundering that has taken place, where companies have bought and donated electoral bonds multiple times of the profits that they have shown in their books. Where did this money come from? And this takes very serious caution has to be exercised, and the culprits must be booked. Where is this money coming from? And if it's foreign sources through which this money is being laundered through the electoral bonds, then it's a very, very serious matter that needs to be investigated. Electoral bonds information, all of it clearly falls under the PMLA. Why is the ED not moving? Or under Modi, is the ED only to target the opposition and the opposition leaders? The clear-cut case of money laundering you have here, with all the information provided, but the ED is just not moving on any one of these issues. So that clearly shows the character and orientation of this government. And we stand therefore for state funding of elections, like a system that works in many other countries, modern democracies like Germany, etc. So that sort of a system will have to be introduced, and wide-ranging consultations and wide-ranging electoral reforms are required. We stand for the immediate elections to the Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir. Last time Parliament elections took place, but they refused to hold the Assembly elections. If the security is okay for the Parliament elections, we can't understand why that can be the reason for not holding Assembly elections. This is clearly denying the people of Jammu and Kashmir their democratic rights, their democratic representation, and this is something that has to be immediately conducted and in fact should have been held with these general elections, but nonetheless it has to be immediately held. Foreign policy of India requires to be brought back to its original shape of an independent foreign policy, which under Modi has been reduced to be a junior partner of US imperialism. Even on an issue like the criminal genocide that is taking place against the Palestinians, the government of India has been lukewarm. Only for the namesake, once in a while voting with the resolution, once abstaining on the resolution calling for ceasefire in the UN General Assembly. And for the first time, our solidarity with the liberation movements, and particularly the Palestinians for their homeland, has been thoroughly and completely betrayed. It is today a foreign policy oriented towards US-Israel-India nexus. It is this nexus which will be disastrous for our relations with our own neighbors, for our relations and global standing. And this communal corporate nexus will have to be reversed. And in order to do that, the BJP must be defeated in the coming elections. This is the essence of the manifesto. The details will be up there in the what is being distributed to you, so you can read it. So this is what we wanted to convey to you and to the people of India through you.